Hey, this is Jody with WeldingTipsandTricks.com with another weekly video. This week's video is very short, only going to be about 4 or 5 minutes long, and it is about stainless steel stick welding. I'm using Lincoln Electric Excalibur 309L-16 rods, and I'm going to position a little piece of metal on a 45-degree angle so it's sort of vertical, sort of horizontal. And the reason for that is I'm kind of shaking the rust off a little bit. It's been a long time since I've run any stainless steel stick. I don't want to jump right onto vertical and overhead, so I thought I'd run a little bit of kind of on a 45. That's actually really good practice anyway, because that's kind of like coming up the side of a 6G pipe. So that's what we're going to do today. Multi-pass welds using a little J motion technique. So let's get right into this week's video. Okay, like I said, I'm using Lincoln Electric Excalibur rods. This is the ER 309L-16, made for all position, and I'm also using a Lincoln Power MIG 350 MP. MP stands for multi-process. This is a unit that'll MIG, but it'll also TIG and stick weld. And so I'm in stick mode here. I set it on 1 for stick mode. And while I'm in stick mode, I also have a setting for the hot start. I can have either a soft start or a hot start, and I'm setting it up, even though I'm running 93 amps, I'm setting up to run 0.7 seconds at 121 amps, and before it backs back down to the 93. And also I've got the arc control, or also called dig function, set on the -4, and that's a setting that's going to give me kind of a soft buttery arc, not a crisp arc like you would want with a 6010 or a 6011. Again, set on 93 amps. That's pretty low for a 1/8 rod. If you're used to running 1/8 7018 or something like that, would be pretty low, but stainless stick just won't handle the amperage like a 7018 will. And again, I'm positioning these parts at about a 45-degree angle. I'm going to run an uphill at a 45 to get some practice running out of position, but not completely vertical yet. I'll do some vertical in the coming weeks. I'm using a little J motion technique here, because these stainless stick rods have a tendency to crown up because heat builds up so quickly in the metal. And in the rod gets hot quickly and starts burning differently. The J technique kind of helps you spread the metal out just a little bit and keeps it laying down a little flatter than it would if you just drug the rod, especially going vertical uphill. So you can even see here it started off a little flatter and then started to crown up a little bit, just because the rod gets hot and starts depositing metal differently than it does when it's completely cold. So the second pass, I'm stacking on the bottom of the first pass, and kind of a little bit less of an exaggerated J, but still a little small little J, and that gives me a little bit of a incremental step to kind of progress at an even travel speed, and it works pretty well. Now here's a little tip. If you are practicing for a test using stainless stick rod, like a carbon steel, UA test where you're using 309 stick rod, pay attention to how red the rod gets and how far up it gets at a certain amperage, because you're going to need to know that when you go test on that strange machine. You can set a machine pretty close to what you're used to practicing on if you pay attention to how red that rod gets and set the machine accordingly, because all machines are a little different. You don't want to practice using a certain amperage and then just assume that the amperage is going to be the same on whatever machine you're testing on. Okay, so I'm just doing a 3-bead multi-pass thing here, just getting some practice. Again, it's been a while since I've run a stainless stick rod, and I was able to get a hold of some stainless pipe as well as a couple of stainless flanges, and so I'm going to be doing a little MIG, a little TIG, and a little stick on that stainless. And I only have one piece of stainless pipe and a couple of flanges, and I don't want to screw it up, so that's why I'm getting a little practice in here. Well, let me wrap this thing up here. First of all, I only used 93 amps. That's all it took on this 1/8 stainless steel rod. And part of the reason is because stainless steel rods just get so hot so quick, and then they run differently. Also, you want to pay attention to how hot it gets for a reference point as far as to how to set a machine that you're not comfortable with. And also, you remember I use this little J motion, a little technique that helps spread the weld metal out a little bit and gives you an even travel speed. And of course, you need to pay attention to holding a fairly tight arc and a little bit of a push rod angle when you're traveling vertical uphill. Well, that is about it for today. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you like what you saw. I make videos like this every single week, come rain or shine. So if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you here next week.